Jide Adebayo was a man everyone in Abuja talked about. He was rich, handsome, smart, and respected. He had his own estate in the heart of the city. Not just one house, an entire estate with many buildings. He owned cars that looked like they were made in heaven. And he didn't just do business in Nigeria. No. Jide had companies in the UK, Paris, and even in Dubai. He traveled all the time for meetings, wearing fine suits and walking with confidence like he ruled the world. But before Jide became that big man, he was just a little boy from Osun State. He was born into the family of Mr. and Mrs. Adebayo. They were good people, kind, prayerful, and honest. They had only one child, Jide. So, they put all their energy into him. They gave him the best education they could afford. He went to the best school in Osun State, and when it was time for university, Jide did not disappoint them. He studied hard, passed well, and graduated with first-class honors from one of the top universities in Nigeria. Jide began a small business. He sold and bought things. He managed people. He made good decisions. And slowly, money began to roll in. The money turned into more money. The small shop became a company. The company became bigger. And before long, Jide was one of the most successful young men in the country. People looked up to him. Newspapers wrote about him. Women admired him. Parents told their children, "Be like Jide." But Jide had a secret. Behind the fine suits, behind the business trips, and behind the smiles, there was something Jide struggled with. He had a weakness, a serious one. He could not control himself around beautiful women. Even while he was in the university, he was known for chasing girls. He would promise them love, pretend to care, and after he got what he wanted, he would walk away like they meant nothing. One day, after he had become very rich, Jide walked into a fancy restaurant in Abuja. He was wearing a white designer shirt, black trousers, and shiny shoes. The kind of outfit that makes people turn and look twice. And there, sitting alone in a quiet corner, was a young lady named Sophia. Sophia was beautiful. Her skin was smooth like chocolate, and her eyes were calm and deep. She was the kind of girl that made a man forget his worries. Jide noticed her and smiled to himself. He walked to her table and greeted her gently. "Hi, I'm Jide," he said with his deep, charming voice. Sophia smiled politely. "I'm Sophia." They talked. Jide was smooth with his words. He knew what to say. He told her stories. He made her laugh. And before she left, he asked for her phone number. At first, Sophia didn't want to give it. She was a good girl, quiet and focused on her goals. But Jide convinced her. "I just want to be your friend," he said. She gave him the number. From that day, they began to talk every day. Jide sent her gifts. He called her every morning. He said sweet things and made her feel special. Sophia believed he was different. She thought he truly cared for her. But she didn't know Jide was playing a game, a dangerous game. After a few weeks of dating, Jide invited her to his house. He was kind. He was caring. Sophia trusted him. Then, one day, they crossed a line. Jide finally got what he wanted from her. And that was the end. The next morning, he stopped calling. He didn't reply to her messages. Sophia tried to visit him, but the security men outside his gate wouldn't let her in. They told her Oga is not around. But she knew he was inside. She cried. She waited. But Jide had moved on. One afternoon, while driving to a business meeting in his big black Jeep, Jide saw another woman. Her name was Hannah. Hannah was breathtaking. Hannah had a soft, curvy figure, a graceful walk, and a warm smile. She looked like someone you could trust. She was standing by the road, waiting for a taxi. Jide slowed down beside her and lowered his glass. "Hello, are you going my way?" "I can drop you off," he said politely. Hannah hesitated. She didn't know whether to enter. But Jide looked responsible. His car was clean. He looked decent. So she entered. On the way, they talked. Jide made her laugh. He told her about his travels. He asked her questions about her life. When he dropped her off, he asked for her number. They started talking every day. Jide took her out to expensive places. He gave her money. He promised her a bright future. Hannah began to like him. She thought she had found a good man. But after a few months, the same thing happened. When Jide finally got what he wanted from Hannah, he stopped calling. He moved on again. Hannah, just like Sophia, was heartbroken. She cried and asked herself, why did I believe him? But it was too late. Jide didn't see anything wrong in what he was doing. To him, it was just fun. He believed he could do anything and get away with it. 1 year had passed since Jide last visited his hometown, Osun State. Life had been busy, meetings here, contracts there, and flights from one country to another. But somewhere in his heart, he missed home. He missed his mother's voice, his father's soft advice, and the peace of that small compound where he was raised. That early morning, Jide's black Jeep drove into his parents' compound. The red dust of Osun State rose softly as the tires rolled in. His mother was standing by the entrance, and when she saw him, she ran toward him with open arms. "My son," she cried out. "Welcome home." "Mama." Jide smiled, hugging her tightly. He opened the boot and said to his driver, "Carry all the foodstuff inside, rice, yam, oil, milk, plenty things." The driver nodded and began unloading. Inside the living room, the air smelled like freshly cooked pounded yam and egusi soup. His father was already waiting at the dining table. They all sat down to eat together like the good old days. They laughed, talked, and shared memories. After the meal, Jide stretched his legs on the cushion, feeling full and relaxed. That was when his mother called him gently. "Jide, come sit beside me." He sat beside her, smiling, wondering what she wanted to say. "When are you getting married?" she asked, looking directly into his eyes. "You have everything a man needs. You have money, you have businesses, you have houses. I want to carry my grandchildren. Bring your wife home, Jide. Time is going." Jide smiled and held her hand. "Mama, I'm working on it." "Better make it fast," she said softly, but her eyes were serious. Jide nodded slowly. He didn't want to admit it, but her words touched him deeply. A few months later, Jide met someone. Her name was Kemi. She was not just beautiful, she was brilliant. Kemi had eyes that sparkled when she smiled and a voice that was calm like evening wind. She had a soft way of talking, and the first time they met at a tech conference in Lagos, Jide was drawn to her immediately. After weeks of seeing her around and watching how she carried herself, he finally asked her out during a walk in a quiet garden. "Kemi," he said, looking into her eyes, "I like you. I don't want to play games. I want something real." Kemi smiled shyly. "I've been waiting for you to say that." And that was how it started. They began to go out often. Jide took her to the best places, cinemas, beach resorts, fancy restaurants. But this time, something was different. Jide wasn't playing games. He truly loved her. A month later, at his birthday party held in his luxurious mansion, something big happened. The guests were dancing, champagne bottles popping, the DJ playing music. Suddenly the music slowed down. Jide held Kemi's hand and pulled her to the center of the hall. Everyone watched. Then, he knelt down. The crowd went silent. "Kemi," he said, "will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes. "Yes," she whispered. She hugged him tightly, and the guests clapped and cheered. That night was magical. Later that week, during a business meeting, Jide's friends teased him. "Jide, are you the one planning marriage?" John laughed. "Is it not the same Jide that used to change women like shirts?" Another friend added. Jide laughed. "I have changed. I want to settle down. Time is going." They all laughed together. The wedding date was fixed for 6 months later. And truly, it was a wedding that shut down the entire city. Top celebrities came. There were camera flashes, rich fabrics, and dancing that lasted deep into the night. But what happened after was what no one expected. That night, in the hotel suite prepared for the couple, something strange happened. Jide was in the bathroom brushing his teeth. When he came out, the lights were dimmed, and soft music played from a speaker. "Kemi," he called gently. She was sitting on the edge of the bed. But something was off. Her hands looked longer. Her skin looked too smooth, too shiny. He blinked and shook his head. Maybe he was tired. But as he walked closer, Kemi stood up slowly. Her eyes glowed yellow. Her back bent in a strange way. Then, right in front of him, she changed. Her legs twisted into one long scaly tail. Her skin turned green and rough. Her tongue flicked out. She had become a giant snake. Jide screamed and ran out of the room barefoot. He didn't even take his phone. He ran down the hallway of the hotel shouting, "Help! Help! There's a snake in my room." But that was just the beginning. One day Jide fell sick after eating lunch. Kemi had cooked the food and brought it to his office. But by night, Jide began to cough and sweat. His body felt like fire. He called Kemi to come over, but she didn't pick. That night, in his dream, he saw a snake crawling around his chest, squeezing him. He woke up shouting. He never told anyone about that dream. One night, just 2 weeks after the wedding, Jide woke up in the middle of the night to get water. As he passed Kemi's room, he heard hissing sounds. He knocked. No reply. He pushed the door gently. Kemi was kneeling on the bed, whispering in a strange language, facing a candle with symbols drawn on the ground. A small bowl of red liquid was in her hand. When she heard the door creak, she looked back quickly and blew out the candle. "What are you doing?" Jide asked, scared. "I was praying," she answered calmly. Jide didn't sleep that night. It was a hot Tuesday afternoon in Lagos when Jide, looking tired and broken, walked into the sitting room where his 2 best friends, John and Ibrahim, were waiting for him. His shirt was soaked with sweat. He had dark circles under his eyes. He hadn't shaved in days. He looked like someone who had not slept well for weeks. As he sat down heavily on the couch, John looked at him and said, "Jide, what's the problem? You look like a ghost." Jide rubbed his face and sighed deeply. "My friends, I am in serious trouble. Since I got married, I have not enjoyed my marriage for even one day." Ibrahim sat up. "What happened?" he asked, concerned. Jide looked at them with fearful eyes and said slowly, "Kemi is not a normal woman, she's not even a human being. She's a snake." For a few seconds, there was silence. Both John and Ibrahim froze. "What did you just say?" John asked, blinking. "I said my wife is a snake." "A big snake," Jide whispered. John stood up. "Jide, what are you talking about?" Jide looked down and said, "I don't even understand it myself. But it's true. She turns into a snake. She has threatened my life." John shook his head slowly and said, "I have warned you many times, stop chasing women up and down. See the outcome now. This is not ordinary. You have a lot of work to do." Jide asked, "What do we do now?" Ibrahim added, "Wait. You said what do we do?" "No, my brother. You have work to do. You brought this on yourself, not we. Please, I'm begging both of you," Jide said. His voice cracked. "Help me. I don't know who else to run to." John and Ibrahim looked at each other, then John nodded. "Okay, let's find a solution. But first, you must be ready to face anything. This kind of problem is not ordinary." That evening, something strange happened again in Jide's home. Jide was in the living room, kneeling down and begging Kemi. "Please, whatever I have done to you, forgive me," he said, tears running down his face. Kemi stood in the middle of the room, laughing like thunder. Her laugh echoed around the walls like something from the spirit world. "Jide," she said coldly, "when I finish with you, you will forget that you were ever born." She laughed again, louder this time. And before Jide's very eyes, she began to shake violently. Her skin changed. Her legs disappeared. Her body stretched and turned. Within seconds, a large black snake with glowing red eyes stood where his wife had been. Jide screamed and fell flat on the floor. He crawled out of the house, crying, and ran to John's house barefooted. That night, John took Jide to their church. They met a respected pastor, a man known for praying against evil spirits. After listening to Jide's story, the pastor agreed to follow them to the house the next morning. When they arrived, they entered the house and saw Kemi already waiting for them, sitting calmly in the center of the living room like she had been expecting them. "So you brought a pastor to come and fight me?" she asked with a smile. Her voice sounded both beautiful and deadly. "Madam, please," the pastor said, raising a Bible. "Why are you doing this? What did Jide do to you?" Kemi stood up slowly. "It is because of you, Pastor, that I will say the truth." Everyone became silent. Kemi's voice grew heavy with emotion. "Many years ago when I was in the university, Jide and I were dating. He got me pregnant. When I told him, he denied it. He said the baby was not his. I was heartbroken, humiliated, and thrown out by my parents. I had a carryover that year because of the shame. When I tried to give birth, I died in the hospital. The baby died too. My soul was restless. I cried to the heavens, but no peace came. I traveled into the water. I made a covenant there. I took power from the spirits to torment Jide. And I have not even started yet." The room was silent. Cold air blew in through the windows. Suddenly, Kemi transformed into a snake again. John and Jide screamed and ran to the door, but the pastor stood firm. He raised his voice and shouted, "Peace. Peace in the name of the Lord." Kemi turned slowly back into her human form and stared at him. "Please, my daughter," the pastor said softly. "Leave vengeance to God. Let Jide take care of your family. Let him honor your memory. Raise him." Kemi's eyes were full of fire. "Pastor, it is because of you, it is because of you," she said again and again. Jide fell on his knees. "Kemi, I was young and foolish. I was a stupid boy. I am sorry. I beg you. I will find your parents and take care of them like my own. Please, forgive me. Please." Kemi looked down and up. She closed her eyes. For the first time, tears rolled down her face. "I am going," she said. "But if you fail to fulfill your promise, Jide, what you will see next will be worse than death." And with that, she vanished into thin air. Jide collapsed on the ground and wept. The pastor put a hand on his shoulder. "It is over, for now. Go and fulfill your promise." John helped Jide to stand up. They hugged each other and walked out into the light, leaving behind the memories of a pain caused by the careless choices of the past. This story teaches us that our past actions, especially those done in secret, can return to haunt us. As human beings, we must learn to take responsibility for our mistakes, no matter how small they seem. Don't play with people's emotions, especially when it involves love, trust, and promises. What you do today can either bring peace or pain tomorrow. Always do the right thing, and never forget that forgiveness is powerful, but only when backed with true repentance and responsibility. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, we would love to hear from you. Like this video, share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Thanks for watching.